still do have a little bit of COVID symptom residing in my body, but I no longer have any flu symptoms currently. So because I have a bit of COVID, I do struggle with a little bit of lightweight headache, which is why you see me taking Tylenol or Advil pertaining to the strength of the headache. And those Tylenol and Advil, I had hair in my mouth, has been made to the persistence of the chemicals in my physical body. And basically what happens is when the Science and Health Center of Canada has approved me to purchase the Tylenol or the Advil, it means that a chemical made that matches to my physical body is ready to be delivered to me, which is why it took so long for me to purchase the Tylenol or Advil when I got sick on May 10th, 2026. So, with that being the case, sometimes wait and time takes a while for one to be able to do what they need to do. And then also on top of that, it began to rain very heavily in May for the rest of the month, so I wouldn't have been able to sit outside and teach anyways like I wanted to do. Okay? And usually that happens when I'm ready, the weather is not ready for me to teach. The weather starts telling me no when I'm ready and willing to teach, that it's not quite right for me to teach outside when I want to. But today it's perfect. I have about 47 minutes left to do this, so let's get into reading the book. Now we're in the book of Genesis chapter 1. We just completed the musical portion to Genesis chapter 1. Everyone has had their opportunity to do so. Unfortunately, it took a lot of time because there was a lot of misrepresentation in the book of Genesis chapter 1 while I was away from the property, and I wanted to make sure to do it correctly, and it began to take a turn for the better after February 2023, where Genesis chapter 1 was done properly in the way that I wanted Genesis chapter 1 to be done, and I was therefore finished and completed the musical portion of Genesis chapter 1 year later, which would have been September 2024. So thank you very much to Greg Anaheim. We worked very quickly to get that done, and now we're on Genesis chapter 4 in the musical portion. However, I'm just reading you everything that I've learned in Genesis chapter 1. I'm going to be reading the book that is attached to the situation. Then I'm going to be reading you the legal notes. And then I'm also going to be reading to you what I heard and what I came to understand from Genesis chapter 1 as told by the people, why it took so long for Genesis chapter 1 to be completed properly in the way that I had it written down in legal affidavit scheduling. Okay? So, let's get to reading the book. We are going to be reading this book, and we're going to be in this book for a while, for the rest of the book of Genesis, and we're now currently in chapter 5. So let's get to reading this book, and I read one page per teaching, or at least one paragraph per teaching, because there are quite a few people with slow brains who want to take time to understand the book, even though I can read the book a lot faster than they would understand the book themselves. Okay? So, let's read. And by the way, there are a few songs that are in this portion of the chapter, and I'll be reading page 45 and a bit of page 46. And one of the songs that is mentioned on page 45 is Leona Lewis, Better in Time, and this is the book The Lotus Shoes, Jane Yang, has been confirmed that the song that is being muttered in the book is actually correct. Leona Lewis, Better in Time. Let's read what the song being hummed is mentioned. Life as a daughter-in-law is bitter in 10,000 ways. This is your fate. No matter what time you rise from bed, your mother-in-law will complain it's late. Tears, suffering, and toil, or bitter faith is impossible to foil. If you listen to that song flipped in musical form, it's Leona Lewis, Better in Time. These lyrics now echoed in my mind as I knelt beside my half-sisters, all of us strapped in Mama's praying chamber. Our mother stood in a row at the front of the room facing us, their shoulders slumped, and they wore the expressions of guilty children waiting to be smacked by the cane and of a feather dust. Forth Neon's lips quivered. Our maids stood against the wall, looking as downcast as I felt. A charcoal burner blazed in each corner, and the woody pungent scent of myrrh stifled me. Sweat beaded my nose. The room spun when I turned my head. Mama paced in front of my mother's, punctuating each of her sentences with a thud of her cane on the floor. Our family needs an heir, Mama said, and none of you seem capable of fulfilling your duty. She swiped her cane across my mother's midriffs. You are all useless. A soul is worth more than each of you. Forth Arneo's daughter swabbed and waddled toward her. Mama slapped her, and spots of blood bubbled on her cheek where the tip of Mama's nails guard had grazed it. My half-sister fell silent momentarily, then recovered her breath and shrieked. Her mother stepped forward with outstretched arms, tears trickling down her frightened face. In the next read, I will tell you what song Outstretched Arm is on page 46 of this book. With that being said, stay tuned for the legal read to What I Heard Read, as written by me in knowledge form. Coming up.